here on VOP TV. My name is Chioma Innocent. Now on VOP Politics, we discuss and analyze trending issues in the political arena, as well as other sectors that impact daily existence. But before we proceed, let's take a news overview on issues across the polity. I will begin with this, where Justice Olukayode Adeniyi of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja, has awarded the sum of 100 million naira against the federal government in favor of the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, for the violation of his right to personal liberty. Now, the court also declared his prolonged detention without trial as a flagrant violation of his fundamental rights. It also restrained the federal government and its agents from rearresting or detaining Emefiele without an order of the court. Now, the judgment was given in a fundamental human rights suit filed by the former CBN governor following his prolonged detention in custody of the Department of State Services, DSS, and of course the EFCC. He had asked the court to order the respondents to pay the sum of 1 billion naira damages and to restrain them from further arresting or detaining him. Well, in a recent development, President Bola Tinubu has suspended the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, from office with immediate effect. The suspension was revealed in a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale. He said it was in line with President Tinubu's avowed commitment to uphold the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability in the management of the Commonwealth of Nigerians. The statement said the President directed the Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to conduct a thorough investigation into all aspects of the financial transactions involving the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, as well as one or more agencies under the ministry. Now, the suspended minister was directed to hand over to the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. She was further directed by the President to fully cooperate with the investigating authorities as they conduct their investigation. Meanwhile, the suspended minister has been denied access to see the President at the presidential villa in Abuja. She was not allowed to meet with the President a few minutes after her suspension from office was announced by presidential spokesman Ajuri Ngelale. In a video showed online, Betta Edu left the State House immediately she was denied access to the President and was driven away in a black SUV. Now, the former Director General of Peter Obi Dati Presidential Campaign Organization, Doyin Okupe, has resigned from the Labour Party. Okupe anchored his resignation on ideological differences that emerged after the 2023 elections. He did explain that his lifelong alignment with right-wing and liberal democratic principles clashed with the Labour Party's left-of-centre ideology, making continued membership untenable. In Benue State, the election of Governor Hyacinth Aliyah has been upheld by the Supreme Court. The governor, who won under the All Progressives Congress APC, defeated the governorship candidate of the PDP, Titus Uba. The Governorship Election Petition Tribunal and the Court of Appeal in Abuja had affirmed the election of Aliyah as governor of Benue State. Uba, who was not pleased with the judgment, approached the Supreme Court for redress. Meanwhile, the Benue State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has accepted the Supreme Court's verdict upholding the election of Governor Hyacinth Aliyah of the All Progressives Congress, APC. The party, in a statement released today by its publicity secretary, Bengba Iyotiom, acknowledged the authority of the court to interpret the laws made for the good government of Nigeria. Accepting the Apex Court's decision in good faith, the PDP pledged to move forward constructively. The statement also conveyed the PDP's appreciation to its outgoing leadership, including former Governor Samuel Ortom, its candidate in the just concluded gubernatorial election, Titus Uba, running mate John Ngbede, and all party members for their dedication and service during the election campaign. Well, that is a wrap on the news overview right here on VOP TV. We'll be right back after this break, where we will delve into the crux of the conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back to VOP Politics. My name is Chema Innocent, and it is time for us to delve into the crux of the conversation. There is a lot to discuss today, and I'm not alone in the studio. I do have with me our in-house analyst, Mr. Peter Anosike. In case you did not know him, he's a development economist, a journalist, and an author who has written so many books that have helped so many people. Good evening, Mr. Anosike. It is always a pleasure to have you here.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
And of course, virtually, we have Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, a public affairs analyst, joining us to have this conversation this evening on VOP Politics. Good evening, Mr. Abdullahi. Welcome to the conversation.
Yeah, good evening, Nigeria. It's my pleasure.
It is a pleasure to have you here as well. Now, let us begin with breaking news. This is something that has rocked Nigerians' boat since last week, that a document went viral that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, signed for 585 million naira to be paid into a personal account under the ministry. Now, there has been so many defenses made saying, oh, this person was actually the project coordinator for vulnerable people, and that is why this money was paid into her personal account. Well, the chief whip of the Senate, Senator Ali Ndume, has warned that there is a growing cabal within the administration of President Bola Tinubu. He raised the alarm today after commending President Tinubu for actually going ahead to suspend Betta Edu and also withdrawing her access to the presidential villa, where she went. And so many people have assumed that she actually went there to beg him not to prosecute her, but he has directed the EFCC to go ahead and investigate her for this development. Right now, Senator Ali Ndume is alleging that Betta Edu is not working alone. He's saying she's in connivance with certain powerful individuals who have since formed a cartel in President Tinubu's administration. Is it not too early for a cabal to be formed? And also, if there is a cabal, was this just formed now? This is the minister that just came on board after President Tinubu took office, which was about 7-8 months ago. Is it not too early for a cabal to be formed? And if there is a cabal, did it just start today? I'd like to direct this question to you, Mr. Abdullahi. I'd like you to wade in on the conversation. The whole Betta Edu case. Many people have said it's wonderful that the president was proactive and listened to the people's outrage and outcry and went ahead to suspend her immediately. What do you say, Mr. Abdullahi?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's commendable that the president has listened to, the views of Nigerians. If you've been following social media and social commentators, I think it's been all over the news for a week now or more that the government the president should suspend the minister. Yes, there has been defense, as you mentioned, that the minister passed through, the document in question passed through the due process. But again, I know with my years of experience that it's also wrong to pay whatsoever money, even if it's 1 naira, that has to do with public project into a private account. So, and again, to counter that argument as well, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation also wrote to the Honorable Minister to, tell her that this is not how it should be. And, there should be a standing procedure and so on and so forth. But the minister ignored that. So I think there is no way about it. There are rules to be followed. You understand? So if the rules are broken, then there should be consequences. And I think it's very commendable that the president has taken the very right step in ensuring that there will be accountability in public office. Because that's very important. That's what we've been lacking in so many years. I'm sorry to say, perhaps if it were previous government, what would have had perhaps is a statement from the presidency and then the usual, I assure you, blah, 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 blah. But now, this government is taking a proactive action. If you get your hand soiled into corruption, the government might not or will not condone it. I tell people, even if it's pretense from the state president, yes, let's have this kind of a pretense. Seriously. Because it's long overdue that people take advantage of the offices and their authority to misappropriate public funds that are not even there, for God's sake. We are borrowing a whole lot, as a country. We are borrowing a whole lot. and then you find a lot of these monies going into private pocket, going into inflated projects more than 100%, and so on. It's so annoying, seriously, as a citizen. So I think kudos to the president, and then the EFCC and the ICPC and all other relevant agencies to take it up from there, because we just don't want to see suspension, seriously. We want to see that people are prosecuted. That is the in thing. You don't just suspend, collect perhaps the money back if it's possible, and then allow these people to go, enjoy their life. No, because this has ripple effect. As a Nigerian, I tell you, we lost a lot of trust when we, try to gain international acceptance. You want to do business with people abroad and so on and so forth. People are scared because you are Nigerian, because of what our politicians do. So they term everyone so corrupt. So it is quite annoying. And like I said earlier, it's a good initiative by the president to suspend her, and then the ICPC and the EFCC should take it up from there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Abdullahi, for your submission. I'd like to come to Mr. Anosike now. Is it too forward for us to hope that the president will take more decisive actions like this in the future? Because we do have a few people who have been tainted by this corruption scandals that no action have been taken on them, especially ministers and people from the previous administrations. For example, Hadi Sirika with the whole alleged sham of Nigeria Air. Is it too forward for us to hope that, whenever this arises in the future, the president will take such decisive, proactive actions again?
Well, for me, I'm not a Tinubu person, but I want to commend him for this step. And for what the senator from Borno said, Andy Ndume, Better Edu is one of the cabals in Aso Rock. She is Tinubu's wife's very close friend. And how did she become the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs? One, she was formerly Commissioner for Health in Cross River State, and later became the chairman in 2020. She became the chairman of COVID-19 in Cross River State. And COVID-19 is like this humanitarian affairs. So it's because of the way she handled the chairman of COVID-19 in Cross River State that they now worked on Tinubu to make her the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs.
Is that to say she did well then?
We've not investigated, and I feel there should be investigation in that ministry now. Understand?
So investigation might actually reveal that there were also misappropriation.
Yes, so the EFCC should go back to Cross River State and check her performances when she was the chairman of COVID-19 in the state. Then, and to show that she's a member of the cabal, that they can do anything and nothing will happen. That is why the Accountant General of the Federation rejected her request, and she went ahead and do it. Because she feels that she's a member of the Tinubu family, she can do anything and nothing will happen. So, as the other analyst said, it is an offense for government money to be paid into a private account. It's not done. It is against the CBN Act. Even if it's 1 naira, once it is government money, you don't pay it into an individual's account. She has been in government, she knows this, but because she feels that she can do anything and get away with it, that's what gave her that boldness, that to pay it. And now coming to say that the person is the director of the project, it doesn't make sense. And the project should have an account of its own. The project should be an entity of its own. So EFCC has waded in, she has been suspended, and I feel full investigation should go on. And if she's found guilty, she should go in for it. She's not too big to enter into the correctional centers. Understand me? Since a mere feather is there, Better Edu can also be there. But on the issue of cabals. Cabal simply means interest. And there are interests everywhere. Understand? People who think the same way always move together. You cannot stop it anywhere.
All right, then let's now come to our virtual guest, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi. Thank you for holding on. Talking about cabals and cartels in the presidency, can these cabals actually form without the knowledge or the interest, without the knowledge of the president? Is this not taking us back to the Buhari era, the Buhari administration, where things happen and he's always expressing shock, where he always seemed to be oblivious and not in the know of what was happening to his government, and one person or the other always had to bring it to his ears, where someone had to tell him something like this is happening, and then he would come out and issue statements. The question is, can cabals and cartels form without the knowledge of the president? To you, Mr. Abdullahi.
Well, it depends on the capacity of who is in charge. You understand? And then, in fact, some of the few steps of the current government, even though I've been very critical of the government as well, for instance, the issue of appointing of even 50 ministers, for me, for a country that is really struggling, is a waste. That I have castigated the government on several platforms. You know, the issues of COP28 and so on and so forth. We are wasting money, scarce resources. In fact, but like I said, we keep borrowing and then wasting. You understand? But again, if I answer your question directly, the issue of cabal depends largely on the capability and the capacity of the sitting president or the governor, as the case may be. You understand? Because, like you rightly said, perhaps the previous administrations, a whole lot of things will have gone underground before the president is even aware. And sometimes on not 1, 2, 3 occasions, the president came out to tell Nigerians he wasn't aware of some things, which were very shocking. You understand? But now, if you look at President Tinubu, for instance, the coordinator of the NCIPA was alleged to have moved about 44 billion from government coffers to a private. I mean, that's what even led to the current crisis. I mean, the current investigation about Beta Edu, you know. And then the president swiftly suspended her, you know, ordered for investigation. You understand what I'm saying? So it means the president is in the know. His ears is on the ground. You understand? He's listening to what Nigeria is listening, perhaps reading newspapers, watching news. I mean, he has ears, you know, on the street. Because mind you, Nigerians are a bit, now I won't even say beat, we are angry at the moment, seriously, because everyone seems to be frustrated and angry. So you don't want, perhaps many people have not eaten dinner this evening, and then you want to hear your minister has taken 500 million. Your minister has taken, or probably someone has taken 3 billion from the coffers of government. Come on. Everyone is angry. So everyone is ranting. And it means the president is listening, is aware of the tense situation of the country, and is acting. You understand? And that's what played out today as well. The government has also suspended the minister because of these, you know, rantings of Nigerians. So yes, you can't totally take away cabals. But what is important is that the person in charge is in charge. I think that is what is most important, because politics is all about interest. We must be very frank. You understand? You can't say the president should leave people that campaign for him to go and appoint opposition into power. It's never possible. We'll just be deceiving ourselves. You understand? But again, if people who campaign for him are appointed and they misbehave, they misappropriate public funds, you know, they are found wanting. It also behoves on the president to act swiftly like he's doing. If not, if anything goes wrong, people will never, perhaps in the next 2-3 years or 4 years after this government, nobody will remember better. Everybody will be saying during the time of President Tinubu, blah, blah, blah happened, blah, blah, blah happened. You understand? Just like the way we are accusing Buhari now. You understand? So I think he is looking at all these scenarios and saying, no, even if you've campaigned for me, even if you have supported me emerging as the president, if you misbehave and if you are going the wrong way, we need to take you out of this team.
All right, then.
And I think it's commendable.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Abdullahi. Let us actually move forward with the conversation and talk about the former Director General of the Peter Obi Dati Presidential Campaign Organization and talking about Doyin Okupe, who has resigned from the Labour Party. Well, he did anchor his resignation on what he called ideological differences, which only emerged after the 2023 elections. Now, he explained, right, that he has a lifelong alignment with right-wing and liberal democratic principles. But this is clashing with the Labour Party's left-of-center ideology, and this has made continued membership of the party for him untenable. I'd like to come to you, Mr. Nosike, with this question. Okupe spoke about right-wing, liberal democratic principles. Labour Party is left of center. What does this even mean? Is this the kind of ideologies that we practice in Nigeria for him to say, oh, my thoughts and my ideas no longer align with that of the Labour Party, I want out, seeing as he's been, you know, a member of the party for a very long time?
Well, before I answer this question, I just want to touch briefly on N100M and the issue of cabal. When Jesus Christ was on earth, there was a cabal, understand? And the cabal were John, James, and Peter. And this just means the inner circle, understand? Those who have the information that other people don't have, understand? Those who have the ear of the boss, understand?
Okay.
So if Jesus couldn't stop that, I wonder if anybody can, understand? Because if you read their Bible, you see where the mother of James and John came to Jesus and said, I want my children to be on your left side and on your right side. That is preference, understand?
Okay.
Then for Okupe, Okupe knows that he just trying to say what does not work. Understand me? He's tired of being in LP. LP is not viable. Understand me? That's financially speaking. So he wants to return to his base where they share money. He knows that there's no ideology in the politics of Nigeria. Understand? That's why in America you can hardly see a Republican going over to the Democratic Party.
Side.
It doesn't happen.
Are you saying that this is just an excuse to leave the party?
It's just an excuse. It's just an excuse, understand? So his speculation was that Peter Obi will win the presidency, understand? And that is what brought him into the party. He wanted that to ride with the wave, with the anger, with the youth. So now, since that didn't come, he wants to go back to the Nigeria of old, where he truly belongs, where they share money and do all kinds of things. So talking about leftist, rightist ideologies, PDP has no ideology. APC has no this ideology. And within the next 1 or 2 weeks, you will see him jumping to APC or to PDP. Understand me?
Well, talking about political parties in Nigeria, the Labour Party has actually reacted to the resignation of their former DG of the Presidential Campaign Organization. Well, a spokesman of the party, Obiorifo, has come out to say that Doyin Okupe has always been a PDP man, and they are happy for the time they had with him in the Labour Party. If it is time for him to move, they're happy for him that he's moving. They don't want him to be in a place where his ideology will be confused. Now, coming to you, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, thank you for standing by. The Labour Party saying, oh, Doyin Okupe has always been a PDP man and we expect him to return there. Are you agreeing with what Mr. Nosike said, that this is just a ploy, this is just an excuse for him to leave the party, maybe because they don't share money or for any other reason, that this is just an excuse for him to leave the party and that in a few weeks we'll see him joining the PDP or any other political party?
Let me pose the question back to you. I know you asked the questions, but I would like to ask this question.
Okay.
Do you believe there is a difference between the political parties in Nigeria? Come on.
That
I
seems like
think
a rhetorical question.
I will be surprised in this age and time if anybody could draw any distinctive differences between all the political parties in Nigeria. There is none for me. None. Really none. Ideologically, the way of doing things, their structure, everything is perfectly, if not 100% the same. It's almost so, So, don't you, Okupe, come on. The former spokesman to President Obasanjo, come on. He's always been a PDP person, right? But again, like I will agree with Mr. Anosike in saying that, the Labour Party is not really that financially viable. You look at, they just have one governor, probably 7 senators, I think, and maybe less than 30 House of Reps members, and so on and so forth. So, come on. That kind of a party is not really viable financially that we keep the way of people who are used to the money bags and so on and so forth. So I think it's just a rhetoric for me. Seriously, that's my belief. It's just a rhetoric and I'm very much suspecting. I'm suspecting. I am not 100% sure. What I'm suspecting is even the campaign to the ruling party. I'm very much suspecting. Yeah, I don't think he wants to go back to PDP.
To go to another opposition party.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he wants to go to the opposition party. I think he's either eyeing the ruling party. Perhaps there is a juicy slot somewhere. Perhaps that is thinking he might get, or some of his supporters might. So it's not a new thing for our kind of politicians. They jump from here to there, serving their interests. Where they feel, the party is merrier and so on and so forth. So come on, this is not even news. Seriously, this is a normal thing. And then, like I said earlier, I see no difference whatsoever. Whether it's the Labour Party, the PDP, the APC, the whatsoever. Political parties and happenings and the shenanigans in Nigeria are just too similar and same.
All right, then, still on the topic of Doyin Okupe and the Labour Party, I'd like to come to you, Mr. Anosike. Alongside the PDP, who has been the main opposition party for years, the Labour Party has emerged as a force. Has emerged right now. It's also one of the main, if not the main opposition party in Nigeria right now. Doyin Okupe being a party, this is a party that prides itself on, one of their slogans during the election was, permit me to say in pidgin parlance, we know get shishi, right? That they don't share money. Anything that has to do with financial anything that has to do with financial misappropriation, you cannot put it in the same book with the Labour Party. But then they had their DG of the DG of the campaign council. This was someone that was convicted of money laundering by a federal high court in Abuja. And he even had to pay the sum of 13 million naira or go to jail for 2 years. He was found guilty of receiving over 200 million naira cash from former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki. Can we say that this was a taint on the party, and him leaving now is not going to make any difference?
No, when he was convicted, he resigned from that position.
Yeah, he did resign from the position.
He resigned from that position.
But he was still a member of the party.
Yes, but
that prides itself.
He wasn't holding any sensitive position. Understand me? So because it will have tempted the P2B, if P2B is preaching corruption, against corruption, and his DG is a convict. Understand me? So he did a good thing by resigning. And for me, he waited for so long, even before making this announcement. I had expected him to decamp immediately. Understand? But he took his time, maybe for the court to settle the issue. So now he has seen that Supreme Court has declared the Bondame Tinubu as the winner, and the P2B is going nowhere. Understand? He has to take that decision. But Doyin Okupe is like Femi Fani Kayode. They're always looking for where stomach infrastructure is. Understand? So he cannot get that in LP, and P2B is not ready that to share. So he has to join the money bags, because I don't know of any viable business that he has that will sustain him. Understand? you know, these politicians are what we call the billionaires without enterprise. Understand? So he want to go to where those billionaires without enterprise are, so that they can keep on sharing money, which is not in LP. So he was in a wrong party.
You'd say from the beginning.
Yes, LP was a very wrong party. It's just like Fanny Kayode joining LP.
Okay.
It's a wrong address.
All right, then we still have a lot to discuss right here on VOP Politics. The conversation continues. Let us talk about another elephant in the room that does need to be addressed. And I'm talking about this report where Justice Olukayode Adeniyi of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT High Court in Abuja, has awarded the sum of 100 million naira against the federal government and in favor of former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele for the violation of his right to personal liberty. Now, the court also declared his prolonged detention without trial as a flagrant violation of his fundamental right. Now, you do recall that Emefiele had actually gone before the court and asked the court to order the federal government to pay him 1 billion naira damages and to restrain them from further arresting or detaining him. He alleged that the federal government violated his fundamental human rights by holding him, by actually treating him like a criminal and holding on to him, whereby the charge of innocent until proven guilty, it seemed like it did not apply to him. We do know that he was in the custody of the DSS, and on the evening where he was released by DSS, he was picked up by the EFCC, and his ordeal seemed never ending. I'd like to pose this question to you, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi. Thank you for standing by. It would seem that this is a wonderful way for the judiciary to begin the year, seeing as they were infamous last year. Last year was the year of all eyes on the judiciary. This time around, it seemed like it would be all ears on judiciary, or all hands are clapping for the judiciary. Many people would say this is justice. Would you say the same?
Yeah, it depends on what we describe as justice. Mind you, justice is actually very relative, because justice is not based on truth. Seriously, if you understand what I mean, it's based on evidence. You might, the guiltiest person can present evidence of being, of being innocent, and he will get an innocent judgment. While someone who is presumed innocent and is also innocent might not be able to prove that innocence, and he will get a guilty judgment. So that's the thing about justice. It's not predicted upon truth. It is predicted upon evidence, what you are able to show, how you are able to prove things. And so basically, in this case of Emefiele, and this is one of the challenges of the Nigerian state, I mean Nigeria as a country, one of our challenges. Sorry if I may digress a bit. I was speaking to a major general in the army who is retired now, who was once Nigeria chargé d'affaires in China. And he told me, there is no how, no matter how difficult and complicated the case is in China, it takes only 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, for the state to take you before the court of law. And when they are arraigning you before the court of law, it means they've gathered all evidence. On that same day, judgment is served. It's just for you to go and defend. I didn't do this, I didn't. Then they show you all the evidences, and then judgment is served. But what do we have here? We have continuously, there are cases that are there in our courts for 10, 20, 30 years and so on and so forth. And before you know what's happening, this court wither away. I mean, these cases wither away. Emefiele, I think he's been with the EFCC for perhaps months now and so on and so forth. There's been ups here and down, there's been movement here and down. So yes, he's gotten a judgment against them, because perhaps even the Constitution of Nigeria says you can't be held beyond whether 48 or 24 hours without you being taken to court. So, that's, but again, in fact, even in Nigeria correctional centers there, I was at Badagry prison in November, I think, in early November. And I tell you, there are people, majority of the inmates there are awaiting trial, and they've been there for like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You can imagine. So if they have good lawyers, perhaps they might even regain their freedom, because it is against their constitutional right that they are just kept there, irrespective of the offenses, irrespective of what they might have committed. So Emefiele perhaps has the wherewithal, and then he's getting judgment. So you can't blame the judiciary for granting him, that sum of money because for redress. You can also blame the judiciary because that's what the law says. So I think it behoves on either the AFCC and the Nigerian state to buckle up to ensure that we have all our evidences and then make court trials very swift rather than all this dragging of foot that we have all over the year that have continued to stall court cases here and there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Abdullahi. You did speak about Emefiele having the wherewithal and then getting what some may call justice in this case. But you do recall he spent upwards almost 8 months in the custody of 2 different federal government agencies.
Yes. That we are saying the same thing. And because they are unable to prosecute him, if you remember, the first offense was that he was illegally, if I'm right, that he was illegally carrying a firearm. That is not licensed.
No, it was actually economic sabotage, and then the charges were stepped down. And then we've also asked the question over and over again: why was that charge of economic sabotage? Why was it dropped?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We have our agencies model things up, and then when you take all these model up evidences and cases before even the court, you find out that even if someone who is the guiltiest of whatsoever you want to put it, walks free. You understand? I remember the case of a former, sorry for digressing, but I think it's important. I remember the case of the former, what's it called, Group Managing Director of NNPC, who's got a whole lot of dollars stacked in southern Kaduna in an air-conditioned thatched house. The AFCC were unable to prove that money belonged to the Nigerian state. He said he received it as a gift, and they were unable to prove it at the court. The court granted him bail, set him free. You understand? Which is shocking. You understand? So that's why I said it is important that the Nigerian state and its agencies put its house in order. You don't just take module cases in front of learned people who understand the law and so on and so forth. Where you don't have evidences, even this thing, even if it's as clear as black and white, you don't have evidence to prove, they set the culprit free.
Are you there, Mr. Abdullahi?
Yes. Yeah, I just made my point. Yeah.
All right then. Thank you very much for your submission. You are still watching VOP Politics right here on Voice of the People Television, and we're having a conversation about a Federal Capital Territory High Court awarding Emefiele the sum of 100 million naira against the federal government for illegal detention and also the violation of his fundamental human rights. Now let's come to you, Mr. Nasike, with another question. 100 million naira. The federal government has actually had their day with Emefiele in court, out of court, in the custody of the DSS and of the EFCC. Do you think they will pay this money?
Well, this is a court of first instance. Understand? So, federal government can still appeal. Understand me? They can still appeal. But the most important thing is that Emefiele has gotten justice for abuse of human rights. And as the guest said, over 80% of Nigerians in prison are what they call awaiting trial. And the reason is basically because we don't have intelligence in the country. Our police, our EFCC, they work on speculations. They file charges on rumors. Understand me? Our police, our EFCC, our ICPC, they file cases on rumors.
That is negating innocent until proven guilty.
Understand me? So, when they hear that somebody is doing so and so thing, they will go and arrest, keep you in detention, now begin to do investigation, which is wrong. Understand? I know of sometime in 2007, I was with the Sun newspaper. And Ojo Zakano is the owner of the Sun newspaper. Ojo Zakano and Obasanjo then was having a misunderstanding. Understand? So, and Obasanjo felt that Sun newspaper was writing against him. So he decided that to shut Sun newspaper down. The chairman of EFCC then, who is the current National Security Advisor, went to court that the Sun has a 7 billion naira in the account. Understand me? The Sun newspaper has a 7 billion naira in the company's account. That all the can is using a Sun newspaper to launder money. But actually, the Sun was just 5 years old. Understand? We have not even broken even. We don't have up to 1 billion in our account.
As at that time.
As at that time. But this man went and said that we had 7 billion. Understand? So since then, when I begin to see these politicians, understand, they are evil. Understand me? So what they do is they file charges based on propaganda, on rumor, on speculation. Understand? Now, when they now arrested that person, they will now put him in detention or in a prison custody and now begin to do their investigations. They had over 100 cases against mere offended. They said that he was sponsoring IPOB, terrorism, Boko Haram, and so on and so forth. Understand? And all those things has now proven to be false. Understand? They have now come back to their senses. So until our intelligence begin to, so-called intelligence, begin to use their senses to do the right thing, our correctional centers will continue to be overflowing with presumed innocent people.
All right, then, our time is fast spent, and very soon we'll need to go. Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, I'd like to have your final submissions on each of the different topics that we have discussed today. One thing that the court also did was to restrain the federal government and any of its agents from rearresting or detaining Emefiele without an order of the court. Would you say this is also, you know, the best development in this scenario, seeing as this judgment is coming and it's not absolving Emefiele of any blame, but it's just saying, look, no matter what you're doing, even if you want to treat him as a criminal, you still have to uphold his fundamental human rights. I'd like to have your final words on this.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's not out of place because perhaps maybe that's what the law says. I'm not a lawyer, but I think the court understands better and they know why. Like you rightly mentioned earlier, he's been held separately for about 8 months. So, and he's a man of means. So, you know, sometimes whether we want to admit it or not, our laws appears to be of two kinds. The ones that services, I mean, the people of means, the high and mighty are quite different from the ones that services the ordinary Nigerians. Like I mentioned to you, even in Badagry prison here, there are people who are serving for 5 years, 4 years, awaiting trial, and so on and so forth. You know, they are left to their fate. You understand? So I'm sure if they can't pass through that kind of this scenario, he is a man of means, whether I want to admit it or not. So, I mean, there will be lawyers at his beck and call that want to say, hey, this man has this fundamental human right. You understand? So you can't treat him this way. So I think it's within his right. And if the agencies, whether it's the police, the AFCC, and whosoever, if they feel they have, you know, enough evidence, and then they can go to any court to get, I mean, a court order to arrest him and to prosecute him, that is fine. But at the moment, I think we need to be law-abiding and respect the court's adjudication.
All right, then, Mr. Anoski, I'll ask you the same question. We've spoken about Emefiele, we talked about Beta Edu and Donye Kupe as well. Your final words on any of these topics?
I want to commend Bondame Tinubu. This should be the very first time I'm commending him since he was declared the winner by INEC. Understand? This should be that the first time. That's for the suspension of the woman and for and for directing the EFCC to commence a full investigation. If we can continue this way, understand? We don't want this case to be swept under the carpet. Anybody that is guilty should go to jail. Understand me? Then for a mere offender, the state can arrest and detain somebody based on national security. Understand me? And to do that, they don't need necessarily a court order. Understand? So that judgment that he shouldn't be arrested unless court says so, it is not 100%. The state can arrest anybody based on national security and detain the person as long as they want.
All right, then that brings us to the end of today's edition of VOP Politics. My name is Chioma Innocent. We have been discussing issues that are of national interest, issues that interest you, issues that you should actually be interested about, and the conversation continues tomorrow on VOP This Morning. Before we go, I'd like to thank our virtual guest, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, who is a public affairs analyst, for joining us despite every other thing you had to do. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, for joining us on VOP Politics today. We do hope that if we call on you next time, you will join us again.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Good evening, Nigerians. Yeah.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank our in-house guest, Mr. Peter Anosike, for always being available for us and for always wading into the issues that need to be discussed. Until we come your way again next time with another insightful and exciting episode of VOP Politics, my name is Chioma Innocent. If you want to listen to information that is timely and that is tailored to you, VOP Television is the place to be. Do follow us across all our social media platforms at VOP TV Live. My name is Chioma Innocent. I will be back next time to continue the conversation. Have a good evening.